Hey, everyone, and welcome to the 37th installment of the weekly Catch Up podcast. The date is June 17th, 2020. I'm your host, Bradley Colvin, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Carson Gibbons.
That'd be me.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. Man, I got the day off from hosting this podcast. I'm laying in the cut. I'm chilling.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah. It's like PTO for me. I'm just going to, sit around with you and shoot the wind and try not to swear.
Well, that sounds great, man.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Do I have to do the let's get it part?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, you didn't tell me that part when we made this agreement. Let's get it.
It's the weekly catch up with Carson and Brad. Here to talk about the week we done had. It could be sports, religion, politics, we keeping the tabs. You would think they work for Gucci, how they deep in they bag. Get your facts up. On Wednesday we'll be counting the stats up. So turn the volume up till it's maxed up. You know the drill. So tell a friend to relax up and chill. We back up. This is the weekly catch up.
All right, so welcome back, thoughts, tots, and bots.
I love that Michael reached out with that little insight. He was like, hey, I'm back on episode 26, and I love how you started calling them thoughts, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, we appreciate the feedback, as always. We love
real-time reflection, though, like when I get hit up and told, like, hey, I'm listening to this episode, and it's like 20 episodes ago. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like that's not us.
That's not, yeah, we're different people now.
We've grown since then. Like, don't judge us based on.
Right. That was 10 weeks ago.
We've got a 2-week half-life.
We were idiots back then.
Yeah. We were young, you know?
Right, yeah.
That was like 8 weeks ago.
So naive.
No, he was listening to episode 26 and he's been steadily making his way through. He was so far back that.
That's crazy because whenever he texted, I thought he said, yeah, he did say 26. I thought I read it as 36, which was last week's episode. So I thought he was completely caught up.
If he was texting us and saying, I liked the way you called them thoughts in last week's episode, which we never mentioned thoughts in last week's episode, that would be kind of like picking out one tree in the middle of a big forest that's kind of on fire.
Fair.
Okay.
Fair is fair. Yeah. Well, we always appreciate the feedback.
Yeah.
And welcome back, Michael. Whenever you get to this, I guess, in
December. What is it, June now?
Yep.
June 17.
Oh.
Big shout out. It's my sister's B-Day on Friday.
Awesome.
So happy 27th birthday to Meredith Gibbons.
We love you, Meredith.
Friday. So she lives a life unlike many others.
Yeah.
So
she lives a good life.
Yeah, it was my mom's birthday on the 8th. It's her birthday on the 19th. There's a lot of birthdays clustered around here. Happy Father's Day to all the dads coming up this Sunday. Shout out to Bob and Dean in particular.
Absolutely. We're here because of you.
Yeah, thanks, y'all.
Yeah.
Really, Bob and Dean are why this podcast exists when you think about it.
Honestly.
Like in all reality.
Yeah. I mean, if you really crunch the numbers.
Okay.
All right.
Moving on.
Well, and shout out to all of our children, all the listeners, and consider you.
Oh my goodness. Don't ever say that again. That just made me, my blood froze for a minute, y'all. Like, don't ever say anything about my children because I have no children.
Allegedly.
Stop. Why would you even get that started?
I'm totally kidding. That's just a joke.
That'd be so funny if there was like this influx of listener feedback that's like, Carson's the father of my child and we've never met.
Yeah, now this is the episode for all of you to stand up.
Stop! What are you doing right now? This is like a more terrible version of, well, not for me, it's a more terrible version of Me Too, because it's like, me too. He fathered my child. Yeah. Like I fathered no children.
Well, we are definitely in need of more sponsors so we can get donations.
Well,
for all the child support.
Yeah. I have no children. I'm an abstinent member of the church. You have my clergy badge that just came in the mail.
Yes. Right before this episode, I did take a picture of Carson with his clergy badge. You guys will be able to see it on our socials this week.
Came with a binder with the photo, the power vested in you. Ooh. And I was like, whoa, all right. Speak through me, Lord.
Mercy. So Carson is now a man of the cloth.
Yep.
Like we said, he is not who he was 10 weeks ago. He is a new man. He's ready to get some of our friends married.
Yeah, and take confession. I'll still take your confession. We can do it via FaceTime. In these trying times of resurgences. 21 states are resurging. I heard that you overheard on my last Zoom call of the day something about Dallas is the 5th biggest hotspot in the nation at the moment, which, I've seen at the local news level, the national news level. I haven't really been tuning into that, but I have been kind of seeing that, it seems to be going back up maybe.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's spiked hard.
Yeah. Like, how many cases? We're having like hundreds of cases a day, right?
Yes.
Is that just due to expanded testing? I feel like for a while there it was like, this is expanded testing, but I've sensed something different. Like, people are maybe sheltering in place again a little bit more because the initial surge of
right.
socialization.
And we all knew that there would be like a round 2. But I'm reading that there has nearly been an 85% increase in COVID-19 hospitalizations since Memorial Day, from about 1,500 to close to 3,000. So,
okay,
yeah.
So how are you combating this? Masking up again? I feel like I saw masks were off for a couple weeks and then they came back on.
Yeah. So I wear my mask where I have to. So if the place that I'm walking into says I need a mask, I wear a mask. So for instance, I went to REI this past weekend, which is, shout out to REI. You can be a sponsor anytime. You're my favorite store. And I blow all of my money at, I just
really, they'd just be giving some of your money back if they were to sponsor the show.
Honestly.
Got it.
But yeah, they require masks, so I wear my mask.
Got it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that I'm right there with you, except that I try to get into the places that require masks without one. And sometimes I've been stopped by a security guard and, screw that person just straight up. The guy at Kroger, this local Kroger, I hate this guy because he's one of those guys that won't let you go in either entrance, because I'd just like to go directly through. I want to go to the right side of the store.
Right.
So I want to go through the exit.
They're funneling everybody through the one entrance.
And I'm a, tall, slender, good-looking gentleman. I could just slip through and just make it, but he never lets me. And he actually turned me away when I didn't have a mask one day, like when the law or guideline went first into effect. And I really was frustrated with him over that because I was like, I walked all the way over here to buy stuff from your place of employment. And you're turning me away, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that the responsible thing to say is you should wear a mask if you're made to. I don't know.
Well, speaking of first world problems, I've been hitting up the gym again.
Oh, yeah?
And yeah, Gerald and I started our workout routine on Monday. But prior to that, I had been going in and lifting a little, but gotten into swimming again. I'm trying to build up my conditioning. And I'll be honest, like that first day of swimming, I went underwater just to see how long I could hold my breath. It was embarrassing.
Like 13 seconds?
Like less. But I will say I did it down and back.
Less than 13 seconds?
Dude, it was sad. I did it down and back though, so I was kind of out of breath. Like I went as hard as I could.
Were you submerged or were you swimming during this whole time?
So for the down and back,
for the breath test.
Well, I was completely underwater, yeah.
Right. So you were just like hovering. You were just treading water, like.
Correct.
Okay.
After, yeah.
And you couldn't make it 13 seconds
Dude,
in that
the
way?
first time not, but.
Like I could understand if you were swimming and your heart rate was elevated and you needed to take a breath, but.
Hey, your boy's not conditioned. Your boy has been out of shape, but we're getting back into it, man.
Okay. What is that? So I guess there's a direct correlation between your breath control and that kind of circumstance and maybe like cardiovascular health and endurance
so.
and.
Yeah,
Dude,
working out those lungs.
Keep me updated on that swimming stuff, though, because I've also been thinking about joining a gym just to have access to, honestly, to the wet areas.
Yeah, the lane pool.
I really want sauna. I really want steam room.
See, the saunas and steam rooms are not open back yet, so don't sign up yet.
Well, I just want to get all this stuff available at a home crib because I just feel like sometimes all you need is a good detox day. Sometimes all you need is like a Buddha juice day, or take a hot bath or a steam shower, go for a run, golf 6 miles on foot, do something that makes you sweat.
Right.
It's intensive and
I
heart rate elevated. Because man, I did that the other day. I was feeling bloated and I went out golf from 12 to 4. I think I mentioned that. And the next day I just didn't have a gut.
Nice.
You can really shave a lot of that.
Yeah. I've kind of been doing that, but the gut's still there. But
no, it's not. That's the thing.
All right.
I'm envious of people like you that can bulk up just from eating more. You can, would you say that your eating habits have been not as disciplined at times?
Dude, my eating habits are atrocious.
Okay. So the fact that they're atrocious and you look like you do is frustrating to me.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't get away with that. I wouldn't get away with that. We're the same height, basically.
Yeah.
And the way that you carry weight is proportionally good looking to the way that I carry weight about 80 pounds off. Literally. You can look amazing at 240 where I have to be 160 to look at the same proportionate. You carry fat in a different way, and it's very advantageous to you.
Well, thanks, man. Because I'll be honest, I'm self-conscious about it sometimes, but
that's ridiculous. I've told you this.
I know, but I think for me, especially, whenever I was in Maryland and I was working out there, I had gotten really fit. I was kind of I had muscles on my shoulders and everything, and I was looking right. And so to look back on those pictures and then to look back at recent pictures, I'm like, dang. And so I guess I'm kind of comparing to what I was then, maybe not so much comparing myself or to the people around me, but to how I used to look. And so I'm trying to get back and get fit. So in that regard.
Isn't it funny how we look the best at some of the unhappiest times of our lives?
Yeah.
The minute you get happy or proportionate with your time, let's say that you're in a bad place, you're working all the time, you don't socialize properly, you don't have a community around you, you're thin as a rail and just look like $1 million. And then the minute you got a squeeze or nice back home with family time,
you're eating right,
you're just chilling. And it's almost, sometimes when I've gained a little weight, I'm like, oh, good for you, buddy. Things must be going all right. But
you're not wrong. Because whenever I moved, that first year is whenever I lost all that weight in Maryland. And, I moved out. I was away from my family and friends. And, I had a few people out there. But I just made friends with the athletic director at the school that I was working at. And so he was my best bud for a while there. And I didn't have anything better to do. So I would be up at the gym at 5 a.m. before I taught. And then I'm, going 6 days a week. I think I'm going to do 5 days a week now, but I think there definitely is a correlation. So now I am really happy, but on top of that, I'm also trying to be happy, thinking about the future. I don't want to get to where I'm 300 pounds and, I'm huffing and puffing, chasing after my kids and things like that. I want to be able to play ball with them and run around, all that good stuff. So I'm trying, I like to plan ahead. And so just trying to get fit, trying to be happy with my body, and also just thinking about the future. I want to be around for a while.
I love how your workout goals are don't fall at Little League in 5 years.
Yeah. That's fair.
You're a regular Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, I try. No, but
I'm probably less athletic than you in many respects.
On Monday, I did the back workout. Yesterday was abs and chest, and today was leg day. Did some leg presses.
I swear, you already look more. You work out once, and you look like you've been working out hard for 3 months.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Hey, I told Gerald, I was like, give me 3 weeks, bro. Give me 3 weeks. I'll be all right.
Oh, and Gerald was just like,
You'll know. Gerald was just like, well, he didn't say this, but I'll never be him.
Well, exactly. He's like, I have an 8-pack before we walked in because I'm 28, athletic from DFW,
right?
Baby,
gym rat,
GTL, Gerald.
I love that guy.
He's like gym, tan, laundry, truck.
Yeah, man. So, been working out, been eating healthier. I'm laying off the sweets, laying off the sodas. I'm pretty much, actually, I am strictly water unless I'm putting in like the powder mix or whatever for my pre-workout or post-workout drinks.
Oh, wow. You're doing pre and post-workout drinks?
Yeah, man. You got to get the pre-workout. It gives you the caffeine, the energy to go. And
right.
Then the protein.
Well, and I want to say something to you that is really more about everybody that thinks along these lines, where you adopt a workout program and then you just quit that workout program. But you do all these things with intensity where it's like pre-workout drink, bro, post-workout. Mom, where's the creatine?
It's not all that.
But it's such quick ramp up and thought process that it's like, I always get concerned. It's like adopt things that you can do into perpetuity that,
Well, I mean, like I've said previously that I've been like walking, running 6 miles a day, and I've been doing that for about a month and a half.
Oh, so that's been going on this entire time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why you're looking right.
Yeah.
Looking tight.
Right. So I mean I feel like I'm being realistic with my goals and everything.
Going back to what you were saying though about sweets, like that's the single greatest culprit. Like,
dude,
if you want to maintain anything, you cannot eat dessert at least 6.5 days a week.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to say
it's rough.
You can't splurge on a dessert, but maybe once a month.
Yeah, man. I gained a lot of weight this school year. I started dating Courtney, and between her and her mom was always cooking me these sweets, and her brothers were bringing it up to the school and just like a whole thing of cookies for me and everything. And tasted delicious. Like, she's a wonderful cook, and I can't say no. I love me a cookie. So
I've historically told my mom no a lot because, she's of the opinion that she's a baker and she's really great in the kitchen. She was really famous growing up. People loved coming to our house just to see her latest creations, and people would put in requests. They'd see like we were having a potluck and somebody, there's a lot of funny stories actually, but she'll bake a whole plate of cookies anytime you come over. And then as she senses you're getting ready to leave, she's ziplocking up the rest of the pan that she's like, crisping off.
Right.
Fresh. And it's like,
yeah.
I have so many of her pans or whatever they're called, bowls and to-go things, containers.
Yeah,
to-go
Tupperware.
Container. Tupperware, thank you.
I got you.
But it's like glass Tupperware. It's like nice bougie stuff.
Right.
She sent home meatballs.
I love her.
Yeah, those meatballs are I eat her vegetarian cooking way more than I eat any of her meat. She always grew up cooking meat, vegetarian for my dad.
Yeah.
He was the only vegetarian in the family.
Yeah, no, I've had those meatballs, and I've had more of her cooking, like at the Thanksgiving dinners and everything. And I've been over a couple other times, and yeah, she's a wonderful cook.
But I've had to turn her down.
Yeah, y'all make it hard. Y'all make it hard on us.
I think that's just not to stereotype it or anything, but good Southern woman, so to speak, is just like,
Yeah.
My mom had big issues. Like when I looked my best in my head, she was like, "What is happening? Are you on heroin?"
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
She didn't say that.
Yeah. No. Like I said, whenever I first started dating Courtney, like it was all like I couldn't tell her mom no. First of all, I didn't want to, but even if I did, it's like this is a new relationship. Like I want to be respectful and everything. She's sending me all these treats.
Okay, taking them home is one thing. Eating every single one of them is another.
Bro, I don't have self-control. That's why I have to eat healthy. That's why I have to get into this routine, and I have to be really meticulous with it because that's just the type of personality I am. I have to get into something like this, and maybe whenever I'm at the physique that I want, then I can kind of mellow out and do everything. But if I were to go and get some chips or there's a gas station on my way home from work, and they have these homemade brownies, and then I get like Lay's potato chips and hot Cheetos.
Gracious.
Yeah, it's disgusting, dude.
Wow, you eat like a teenager boy, but
I do.
honestly, I'll do this. Dude, one day I went to Chipotle and I got, burrito, chips and guac, and then I stopped at a gas station and I got a big bag of Doritos and a family size of M&Ms.
Crazy, right?
I was just like, oh, I'll have a couple Doritos to like spice it up.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a couple chocolates. And of course, what happens is I end up opening the chocolates in the car because I want to eat the chocolates before, during, and after the meal. And I eat the whole thing. One night, this was one of the worst nights in my history, recent history, like months ago, but a while back. Really social distancing time. I think I ate like almost a full bag of Doritos, the chips and guac, the burrito, and a full family share size of M&Ms.
That's impressive.
And like the next day I was just like dragging and I was like,
just
when can I poop it out? Like, this is terrible.
Yeah. I've already noticed like this eating healthier has helped with my sleeping habits. Like now I'm waking up before my alarm and I don't even feel groggy or anything. So that's been nice. I've been drinking tons of water. I'm trying to get to where I'm drinking like a gallon a day. That's what I was doing a couple years ago. But I'm trying to get to that point. And if I don't reach it, that's fine. I'm not super hardcore about that, but I do want to make sure that I'm drinking a lot of water. I
try to drink 100 ounces plus a day.
Yeah.
They always say, I think half your body weight in ounces. So that's more than half my body weight. So, but really the best ideal for me is if I can consistently 4 or 5 days a week have just a protein bar, mid-afternoon, and then some element of like a nice legumes, starch, meat, veggies meal, like a Chipotle burrito. And if I do Chipotle burrito, chips and guac, and a protein bar all day, and water and coffee, that's a 2,000 calorie day typically. And then if I'm layering on consistent movement, a minimum of like basically 3 miles a day in steps, mixed in with like hot, intense golf rounds, walking or being active. If I could throw a run in or start swimming like you, I could be a lot more chiseled, it's time.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Keep me updated on that.
Certainly. I mean, hopefully my body will keep you updated on that. But...
Man, you just talk smack day one. You're like, day one of the gym, you're like, beast mode. Hey, can you spot me, bro?
Try day 3, but okay.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I don't doubt that you walked into that gym on Monday no. With your hernia belt on.
I've been working out with Gerald, like looking at myself in the mirror next to him. Like, I'm not super confident, so I'm just being funny.
How's he doing?
He's doing great. Chilling.
Okay. Still on days?
Yeah, working that day shift.
That's how he's able to work out now, have a normal social life.
Yep. So he's doing all right, man.
Right on.
Yeah. So, any updates between last podcast and this one?
On...
anything besides our health? Like, I don't know if you have
life
before we start getting into the happenings of the world.
I had a pretty fun weekend, actually. I got to go up to WinStar.
Nice.
John called me. Sarah was having a girls' weekend in Dallas, and it was pretty funny. I hope that he doesn't mind me telling this story.
Perfect.
But the girls all have kids, and so his option was like, if he wanted to hang out on the west side of town over near Fort Worth, he could go and hang out with all the dudes who are also dads. And they were going to get pizza and have a pizza night with all the kids at a house.
Yeah.
And he's describing this to me as like kind of a semi-viable option. And I was just like, what's happened? Like, I would never do that. Like, it was so horrifying. So I said, dude, like, let's go to Vegas. Let's go to Sodom and Gomorrah tonight.
Oh, goodness.
And he's like, no. And I was like, let's go to the casino at WinStar. And he was like, yeah, I could do that. Call Michael. Like, let's see what's up. So I called Michael, and we, the three of us went up to WinStar, and it was packed.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Did you have to wear masks?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, but here was the funniest part. I was like, I wonder if you can smoke. We walked in, people had their masks pulled down around their chins, and they were just smoking
so
Pall
no
Malls at the
purpose.
slots. And it was like, what is going on?
Did you see like a lot of the staff like cleaning machines and stuff, or how was it just like a regular?
So they had like this interesting semicircular layer of plexiglass, or a divider at mouth level between the dealer who's standing up and you're a little bit submerged on the table sitting down on a high bar stool. But it was such that she kind of had to almost lean down, almost like a teller counter. But it was totally visible through, so it really didn't take away from the experience. I didn't think like I felt like I've had more intimate conversations and situations. Like typically, if the casino is not packed, you can have a conversation with some of your dealers, and I'm always asking dealers like, hey, what's the book say on this one? Different stuff like that, because I play blackjack. And so anyway, it was a cool experience. There was a billion people there, just a billion people. I'd never seen the casino more packed. Like we saw the parking lot and we were like, uh-oh. Yeah. And then we saw the line to get your temperature taken outside. And I said, guys, I haven't said this up until this point, but with limited capacity at tables, like there might be a wait to get in or something. Yeah. And so we got there. There wasn't a wait, thankfully. But, they only have like, for being I think it's like one of the biggest casinos in North America or something like that. For being such a big casino, their table games area is small, and they didn't offer poker, and they offered 50% capacity, 60, it was really 60, 3 out of 5 seats at every blackjack table could be occupied. Yeah. And then they had roulette and all the slots, obviously, bars open, restaurants, blah, blah, blah. We always go up there, go to El Phoenix, and then find a blackjack table. And, I insist on a $5 blackjack table because I'm cheap. Like, I like to take out 2 bills, put one down, and hopefully not reach for the second, and just coast on. Yep. If you can buy some drinks, some food, tip your people, and tread water, that's perfect for me. Yeah. And so I'd had 3 consecutive casino goes between, I think, Oklahoma and Vegas, actually, where I had netted positive. Or like
you're in the black.
I went to Vegas the last time and gambled probably 12 or 14 hours, got drinks, tipped waitresses, tipped dealers, and played 3 days in a row, and left with like everything paid for and another $8 or $20. Like it was perfect for me. Yeah. That didn't happen on Saturday, but
oh man,
we get up there and go to El Phoenix, and then we go find a table. It was funny because we get done with dinner at like 8:40. Yeah. And we're going, and we look around there's just one little tiny area of table games. And we noticed that some of them were kind of lit up, like they might open. And so we asked, and they said, actually, those tables are going to open at 9. Go ahead and just go seat yourself. So the 3 of us were able to go find a $5 table. The 3 of us were the only people at the table, and we played there for probably 3 or 4 consecutive hours. We lost a lot of money, but
and all of you?
I know Michael and I did. I'm pretty sure John was down a lot at one point. I think he made a good comeback, though. I can't remember if he left net positive or just lost. John's always the big gambler out of, at least me and him.
Last time I went was for Alex's bachelor party, and we also went to WinStar, and
it's a solid choice.
Yeah, I came out good, made about $100.
Ooh.
But I don't go often, so
I don't either.
Yeah,
but it's an itch sometimes. Like you just got to scratch, and we just wanted to get out of town, do something abnormal.
No, totally.
So we ran up there, and then got home. I slept from about 2 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then got up and did my pre-golf routines because I played Cowboys Golf Club.
Yeah, you told me that you were going to this really nice.
Man, I didn't know how nice it was going to be. Like,
it was nicer than you had described before you had gone? Wow.
Well, just the entire experience. Like, I felt like one of those poor people at the country club that. Have you ever heard that story about the poor person that goes on a cruise or something, and they don't know that it's all inclusive and they can eat all the food, and so they just eat peanut butter crackers in their room, and then realize like,
what? This is
they were too embarrassed to even ask. And that's how I felt there.
Gotcha.
Like, because we had these passes where you just walk up to any bar, any beer cart girl, and just say, "Can I get a blue Gatorade or a pack of crackers?" And they just give it to you. Like there is no exchange. There's no paperwork needed. Like they give you certain bills for certain things. Like we had dinner in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
They brought us a bill and the bill was zeroed out except for my buddy's beer.
Yeah.
So it was insane. The way that you know how nice a golf course like that is by the beer cart and grill girls. When push comes to shove, like fairways can be nice, greens can be manicured, but when there's like just a knockout blonde,
the staffing and snacks, huh?
Just covered in Angel or Secret, perfume and makeup, like, and has a rapport with a lot of the club members.
Yeah.
There's this grill out on hole 7 and 11, and it's just like this like pit. It's like a grill pit, like where they're like literally live grilling hot dogs and jalapeno sausages for you, and like it's just sweaty in there, and like it's just like a knockout 10.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're out on the court, like what's happening right now? So everything was all inclusive. It was beautiful, amazing golf course. We got to play with a member. We had a just me and David Richardson, and then we got paired up with a third who plays there like literally 3 or 4 times a week. So it was perfect because David had played there once. I'd never played there. And you want somebody to say there's a creek up there. You can only go about 150 yards because, So anyway, I lost the match play on the day by 2 holes, but I shot fewer strokes for the round.
Nice.
So
not too shabby.
I actually didn't play like I was hoping to. I spent the majority of the day in the sand. Okay. So, and it's funny because I play at this city muni course that is, in some people's definition, ghetto, but it's perfect for me. But it doesn't actually have any bunkers. It doesn't have any sand traps on the course because it has to be lower maintenance. Yeah. So it'll have narrow fairways, great par 3s. It's an aggressive course, but there is no sand.
Right.
So if I hit it within 10 yards of the green on any side, as long as there's not water, typically you're okay.
Good. Yeah.
Well, it's like a nice little chip onto the green, or you can go ahead and just putt if you're already in the short grass. Well, I think I was in the sand 11 holes, and sometimes multiple times a hole. So it was treacherous for me, and I had dictated that we played as it lied, so as it lay. Yeah. So he moved the ball at one point, and I freaked out on him because he moved the ball and then he hit the most beautiful shot of all time into the group in front of, like, he didn't know how much of a hold of it he was going to get, and he like buzzed them, like he hit it onto the green on a par 5 or just off the green, and then he told me later that he moved it, and I was like, you Judas, like, and I started turning to the other guy that we didn't know as well. And we just met him. And I was like, you know what you look for in a golfing companion? Yeah. Mitchell was his name. It's like somebody that's not going to lie and cheat. I just told this man that he's my second favorite golf friend, and this is what he does to me. So I was saucy over this. So I ended up getting a move later in the round.
Come on, Mitchell.
Mitchell was just laughing. He's a controller for some company, and golf's out there all the time. Lives the high life. Shout out to that dude. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
We're like, do you play out here much? He's like, I've been out here 5 times this month, and it was like the 15th, the 14th. So
that's good.
So yeah, good weekend with that. Lots of work. There's a lot of stuff to catch up on, actually.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. I want to circle back to the clergy comment. Last week's episode, I was listening to it. Because yes, I listened to the show once.
Yeah, we gotta listen. Yeah, we gotta listen back to see if we said anything,
to know if we should show up to work the next day or not. So the reason why I had said when I did the revision about Shelly, and I said more funny stories about her later. Yeah. When I texted Michael and Shelly that I'd gotten ordained as a minister to do their wedding, Michael had, of course, texted something saucy back, like, oh, man of the cloth, welcome, brethren, because I think he's also ordained. And Shelly was like, woo. And she was like, it sucks that both of you are like closer to God than I ever can be because I'm a woman. So that's a real thread that's been going on with her that really cracks me up. So that was the funny story
I like that.
Go back to.
That's good.
What about your week?
Man, I've been doing my master's classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's week 2 like? Because we know week 1 was just like a...
Well.
All
right. So where should I begin?
At the beginning.
Monday, the first class was equally confusing, except a lot of the students have come together and we're like helping each other through it. So that's cool. The second class was pushed back 30 minutes. Like originally we were told it was going to be just an hour, even though it's supposed to go from 11 to 1. We're typically going to be released at noon. And so I was like, awesome. But then it got pushed back 30 minutes and then we went all the way to 1. So even though that is technically the allotted time that we're supposed to be there, I was a little salty about it.
Actually, it's 30 minutes less than the allotted time that you're supposed to be there.
Sorry, I meant I was released at the time that I was supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Well, actually. Yeah, Carson just pushed up his glasses on his nose while he said that.
Shut up. No, I'm just saying, like...
I hate a well, actually type of dude.
No.
No, go ahead. You were about to...
I don't have anything to add.
All right.
Continue on with your story. I'll save my feedback for later.
And then the next day, I had gone into this class and I had been called on.
You're like, so we get done at 1. The next day, this is a grueling program.
Well, no,
folks.
even after 1, like I did several quizzes. I actually got ahead in one of my classes. Like I'm 4 quizzes ahead, which is awesome. I got 100% on 3 of them and 94 on the other. Chilling,
just dunking on this Zoom program. Yo, Swallow, I'm dunking on your master's program.
Yeah, that's because I'm very studious, not because it's so easy. Don't ever change.
Okay.
It's very strenuous. Anyway,
yeah.
The next day I got called on in class. We were talking about student development and specifically boys who mature early versus boys who mature later and what those characteristics look like. And if they mature early on, are they way different as adults? And so I'd gotten called on and, I was saying, well, some of my students who do seem like more mature, they don't necessarily tick off all of these boxes. And same with, my students that aren't very mature. Like I wouldn't say that they fit all of this. I think that it's a combination of some of it and they can't just be defined within this box. And the teacher was like, well, okay, how long have you been teaching? I was like, well, this is in my 5th year. He's like, okay, so you really haven't seen your students like grow up. And he wasn't really satisfied with my answer. And so then he calls on somebody else and, they give their reasoning and it's fine, whatever. And then he moved on. Well, at the end of the class, he says, okay, and I just want you guys to know, like, the students don't necessarily, fit this mold. They are all different. And they're not going to tick off all these boxes. He basically said the same exact thing that I said, even though he wasn't satisfied with my answer. So that was slightly frustrating. I even had one of my friends text me. He's like, dude, he just like copied what you said. And I said, I know. I could be teaching this.
Wow, you were just cocky at every juncture. You're in the gym day 1. You're like, look at me. I'm like the Rock.
See what happens whenever
day 1 of masters. I could be teaching this class.
See what happens when I do the intro.
Yeah, seriously, I love it. Like this inflated ego B-Rad. Like This is how you should be 24/7.
Well,
not just when you host.
No,
but yeah, screw that guy. Like what?
Well, I'm not going to go that far, but
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, let him down
but
easy.
It was.
Was he calling on you for your own personal experience? I'm like, was he like, hey, Brad, were you a man at 10?
Yeah. Well, no, he even asked me what type of student I was. I was like, dude, I was probably like a late maturing student. Like I, just from the characteristics that were listed, just goofing off and stuff. But it also talked about how those students, are kind of rebellious and talk back to the teachers, which I never did. And that's what led me to that conversation about, well, they're not just going to fit this one mold. Anyway, so yeah, that's been my classes.
So master's going well.
In 2 different classes, I have 2 different group projects going on, and that's actually going really well. I love the breakout sessions, and my classmates that I've been paired with are pretty studious, and we're all on the same page. So that's been nice. I know I've talked to some people that are in other groups, and they are not nearly as far along as we are. So I'm feeling really good about all that.
That's great. That might be the main benefit derived from some of these programs, is just that you're around probably the more, uh, excelling type person in your field,
Yeah.
For this generation. And you can compare notes in the first 5 years of teaching. Oh yeah, so it's like that in that region. Like, you're getting all different flavors, and
For sure.
it's got to be invaluable peer feedback among your peer group.
Definitely.
Professionally.
Yeah, and it's also nice to know that, there are certain things that I could complain about as far as my school. I'd really be nitpicking because I do love the school where I work now. It's probably like this last year, minus, having to switch to distance ed. It really has been my favorite year of teaching. But there are always things that you can nitpick, and it's nice to hear other, of my students in my class talk about their students and their schools and how everything's going. And that they kind of deal with the same problems. And it's like, we're always looking for greener pastures, but just because you leave and go somewhere else, it doesn't mean that you're going to be better off. And so I'm really fortunate, and that's kind of been eye-opening, just hearing other teachers talk about, their principles and what they're allowed to do and different things like that. I feel like I have it really good. So happy about that, man.
Do you know who your new principal is going to be?
Yes. He's a dude that's been vice principal at a school in Crowley, and I've met him a couple of times. And actually, he was, so my girlfriend, this new principal was her parents' dean at Thunderbird Academy, and so they've told me about him. He seems like he's a really good guy. He's wanting to be innovative and get more student involvement and things and have more activities and stuff. And so I'm actually pretty hopeful and pretty excited about it.
Well, good.
Yeah, man. So that's kind of been my week, other than hanging out with Courtney. We've been, watching all the TV and
what are you watching?
Eating healthy. Lately, we've been watching Succession on HBO.
Okay.
Great show about family. Family-owned news network. They basically own like several news outlets, and so they get backlash from the general public about that. But the dad, he's getting old and he's ready to retire, and everybody's wondering who he's going to pick to be his successor. And so the show's kind of about that. All the siblings are kind of backstabbing each other and different things. So it's a nice little drama. It's mostly drama, but there are definitely some comedic bits. So I would recommend that to anybody that
I'll have to check that out.
that thinks that sounds interesting. Go for it.
I'm trying to log into my Netflix account to remember what I've been watching.
True.
I'm on my new. I got a new iPhone 11 delivered to me today. I had to work from home to take a receipt of this package, and
hashtag humble brag
was no, like I'll pay it off here. Like, I thought that I bought the new, and then Brad comes over with an 11 Pro, and I was like, I compared cameras, and I was like, oh, I bought the wrong phone. Very frustrating.
It's still a great phone.
But I've been taking like backward selfie portraits all day. I'm like, this is crazy, y'all.
I don't want to go through your camera roll.
Like, what's this look like?
All right. I mean, what have you been watching?
Besides myself.
Oh,
oh, that's funny. Let's see. I watched. Shoot. I share this with my parents and Grizz. I've put them both on this account, so I never know what I've been watching. Maybe it hasn't been Netflix. I haven't caught up on 30 for 30 series. I want to watch the Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa one that just came out.
Okay.
I've been watching. I watched some stand up. I watch and listen to some podcasts. I watched some news. I got to watch the first PGA Tour event back on the calendar that happened this last weekend in Fort Worth at the Colonial, which I'm really proud of DFW for holding it down with one of the I think it might be the longest consecutive running PGA Tour event at a given location where like it hasn't changed locations. Like it's always been Colonial Country Club. It's always attracted a pretty competitive field. But this last weekend, because it was the first tournament coming out of quarantine, it was star-studded. I think world's number 1 through 5 were all present, and then just pretty much everybody who's who. Right. Tiger was not present, but I heard he might be playing the RBC Heritage this weekend. But anyway, I didn't feel as a television viewer that I thought that it was going to be more of a letdown for them to not have fans there. I very much enjoyed watching it. I would have enjoyed the spectacle of the crowd, but the drama was different.
Yeah.
Because this particular tournament, there was a couple guys at -15 and -14 going into the back 9 and the back probably holes 14 through 18. They were all wrapping up and trying to make that last birdie to be in contention. They were all waiting around in the clubhouse because, they didn't know if it was going to a sudden death playoff or what the case may be. So it ended up doing that. And it was just crazy to watch. The lead bobbled and got passed around within the last 2 holes with two putts on 17 that lipped in and out. And they had the most perfect camera angles in slow motion for these. And literally I just gasped as though and when you figure there would have been 50,000 people surrounding that green whenever that happened.
Right.
And they all would have had that collective gasp. So that does add to the narrative and the drama and the excitement. But, I thought it was high stakes drama. Daniel Berger ended up winning. And, all the commentators were just saying, this is crazy because you'll always be the first guy that won after that big thing in 2020. Right. You'll always be the first guy that won back on tour. So shout out to him because he's actually battled back from adversity. He was a President's Cup selection back in the day. He's about 27 years old, and he had a wrist injury that a lot of people apparently said could have been career-ending, essentially. And he battled back from that. And this is, I believe, his first PGA Tour win since that happened. So he's placed, top 5, top 10 in several prominent tournaments, and been a contender. But he really got it over the finish line this last weekend.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
So that was super exciting. Also, I'm trying to think about what else. A little bit of 90 Day Fiancé when I'm feeling real guilty. I love that show.
Yeah.
That show is crazy.
Yeah. Just
insane. All the time.
Yes. I mean, I've only seen the episodes with that very large man with no neck.
Big head.
Sure.
Yeah, he's 4'11".
Yeah.
I think he gets mistaken for Danny DeVito sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. But yeah, that guy's a trip. I've just seen clips of him circulating on the interweb.
Yeah. I've been heavily anticipating, as I know you have as well, the return of You.
Oh.
But it seems like one of the characters of You might have gotten prepared for the role.
Yeah.
By allegedly being the role. And I'm having a hard time believing this at the moment.
Really?
But because it's just surface details at the moment. But you saw Chris D'Elia got Me Too'd hard today?
I did.
All of a sudden, just...
But I will say the several people that have brought him up and that, said that he did this to them in the past, they even showed receipts.
Wait, you have way more details than I have. I don't know anything. I just know that he's allegedly been accused.
Some people are even tagging their tweets from 2014, 2015, whenever they told the story about it and how he did that to them.
Okay, tell me everything, because all I saw today I logged onto Twitter on the new phone for 1 second at one point this afternoon, and I saw Chris D'Elia trending.
Yeah.
And whenever I see somebody I like, especially a man, trending, and it's just his name, I'm like, oh snap,
here it goes.
And I love all the celebrities that just trend because somebody mentions them, and then they just trend to trend, and everybody shares the Denzel Washington meme of him breathing a sigh of relief,
clutching his chest, oh, I thought something happened.
Oh, but so Chris D'Elia got Me Too'd today, and they said that for allegedly making advances towards underage girls, or something which I love Chris D'Elia. He's the goofiest stand-up comedian, and really I don't like his stand-up as much as I like his podcast appearances because he is a trip. He is a trip and a half. He's notorious for he's never tried a drug. He's never had a sip of alcohol. He's never had a drag of a cigarette in his entire life.
Yeah.
And he's a very unique individual who's really tight with Brian Callen, who I know we all love.
Yeah.
He's tight with everybody.
Yeah, because I listen to that podcast.
Brendan Shaw,
I listen to every episode now.
Wait, T-Fat-K?
Yeah.
No way!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch the Joe Coy episode?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Did you watch it? You have to go back and watch it on YouTube if you didn't, because Joe Coy is probably another one of the funniest low-key podcast guests there ever could be, especially on T-Fat-K.
So it's better to like watch it?
I told Michael this too, the last T-Fat-K episode featuring Joe Coy, you have to watch, because Joe Coy, you have to go watch it.
Okay, I will.
I'm going to watch it with you, a part of it after this. Remind me to do that.
Yeah.
So going back to D'Elia, he has Congratulations podcast. He's got several Netflix specials, and he was the pedophile on season 2 of You, which is not a good look at this moment.
Right.
So tell me what you know.
And he's also played a pedophile in another show before.
I was seeing that.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was about, though.
Yeah. Well,
so
apparently,
tell me about these tweets and what are the allegations and what's happening?
The allegations were him trying to hook up with them. Like, I'm trying to find it now. I read it as that was what was trending this morning whenever I woke up. So a lot of other stuff has come in since then. So I
didn't see this until like probably an hour before you showed up.
Yeah. But I saw where this girl linked to her tweets from like either 2014 or 2015. And it was this little thread of her talking about how he was hitting on her and trying to get her to hang out and come over to his place, and also asking for naked pictures. And all this whole time she's like 16, I think 16. And then there was another one who went off of that and was showing like some DMs that he sent on Instagram, kind of doing the creepy same thing. Now you can argue that maybe these things were photoshopped and everything, but the original girl, you can't Photoshop that, because you can literally go back to her tweet in 2015 and like read her thread of her details of the story. So then if you want to go off of whether you believe that or not, that's on you. That's up to you.
I guess age isn't listed on Twitter or Instagram.
I mean, you can have your birthday up there, but
oh, this is a much bigger conversation then. So is it just online messaging with underage girls that he's being...
And then I believe so this is like right before I'm getting ready for class, so I didn't even get to read everything that was being posted at the time, but I believe some people were coming out saying that like he did hook up with them. So I don't know. Yeah.
Actor and stand-up comedian Chris D'Elia, 40, is facing multiple accusations of sexual misconduct after several women came forward with personal accounts alleging D'Elia groomed them when they were underage. Vulture shared this 8 hours ago. Man, I was really behind. Multiple women have now come forward with similar stories.
It says that he has spoken to TMZ denying the accusations. He says, "I know I have said and done things that might have offended people during my career, but I have never knowingly pursued any underage woman." So that's the phrase right there. Never knowingly did it.
Yeah, that's concerning, because like, I mean, this is something that we all need to take to heart. Like, what if you see, I don't find new people and talk to them on Twitter or Instagram, really.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter sometimes for professional reasons more than anything, or networking, but never like romantic. And honestly, this might sound like a creepy question, but I don't even know how you would find underage girls on Instagram. Like, I guess you would have to know underage people and then go look at their friends or something, because I wouldn't even know where to start. But there's no age listed. So let's say that you come across your buddy's friend and your buddy's 20 and this girl's hot and she's in a bikini out on a beach, and all of her photos make her look self-sufficient, or to a certain extent. Like maybe she's doing adult things, like, I don't know. And you send a message, and the only way that this works is if they end up saying like, "How old are you?" and they say, "Oh, I'm 18," and then they have plausible deniability, so to speak. But like,
I mean, I think at this point in this day and age, like, you just got to ask up front. Like, I don't.
Doesn't that seem incriminating off the bat though? If like your first question to somebody is how old are you?
Well, I don't know. Then ask like, hey, what do you do? Like, what school do you go to? Like,
well,
are you?
Shoot, I think that if they look like they're on the fringe, then you need to reevaluate speaking to them. And then, but let's say that all creepiness aside, let's say that you're 25 and you're looking at what you think is a 21-year-old. There's nothing wrong with that. And what if she happens to be 17? Like, is it socially couth to ask right off the bat, like, how old are you? Or is that something that, they would catch a predator?
I don't know, man. I've never thought about it because I've never been in that position, but so he actually like emailed and he said, like, send me a pic, and then that.
Simone Rossi.
Yeah.
Does she look like she's 16 in that pic?
I
don't mean to come across as insensitive, Tots. I'm asking here.
Yeah, this is in 2014. I mean, she looks young, yeah.
I don't know.
Anybody
that knows me knows that I've never had a younger girlfriend in my entire life. Like,
yeah, you like them older.
I've historically gone older.
Yeah. They got to be older so they can put you in your place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, or not. The older I get, the more that they shouldn't be older than me. Yeah. But the point being that I feel like I have a little bit of social capital to extend this conversational narrative without, like, this is nothing that I've ever struggled with or been accused of. So, but my question being, on these platforms where you can be 13 up essentially, and you can curate your entire image, vibe, community, all of this stuff. Like, what are people doing out there? Are there guidebooks for this kind of stuff? Like, it seems like we need coaching as a society. Because I wonder what if there are literally two girls that were 16, 17, looked older, their ages weren't, published on the site, or they lied or presented themselves as just, it never came up. And then he solicits them for a pic or something of something else. Like, what was he asking for a pic for?
Come on.
No. What was the email right before that?
No, that was the first message. He said, send me a pic.
But what did he say before that?
No, that was the first.
No, but he had a line before that, right?
As far as I know.
Why is this via email? Show me the pic again.
Because it's not. She actually went to her DMs. It was a screenshot. It was not an email. So the subject was that.
But it's a reply. So what did she say? The message title was "Use It."
Yeah.
So I'm saying that I'm sorry. Unless I see the unabridged version.
Okay, here you go. I'm in temp. Let's hang. Then yes, can we make out? Now, this girl is leading him on.
Okay. So she reaches out to him and says, I'm in Tempe. Let's hang.
No, that's him.
Smile. Oh, okay.
That's him.
Well, how does he have her email?
Dude, I don't know.
Do you want to meet up tonight? She asks him. Boy, he got Me Too'd in Tempe, Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm confused. I don't know. Hopefully, I guess my main hope is that nobody is truly hurt by anything that occurred and that nothing really ever occurred. Maybe there was just an exchange of messages and maybe this is all fake, or maybe even if it's real, he was unaware and this will not define him. I don't know. Because it doesn't sound like from any of the existing reports that he ever received a photo from anybody or that he ever laid hands on anybody or met up with anybody that we're aware of.
Sure.
And he doesn't seem like that type of person to me, but he seems like the type that would go after a girl, but I don't think he would knowingly go after an underage girl by any means.
Right.
That's, man, if you ever get any amount of fame or, if you're a magnet for, like, if you have girls reaching out, I guess you need to ask those questions.
Dude, this might seem a little off topic, but we've talked about Twitch before and the streamers. The most popular Twitch streamer, well, I don't think he's with Twitch anymore. I think he's gone to a different company, but Ninja, I don't know if you've heard of Ninja, but he's like the most popular gamer. He got really famous for playing the game Fortnite and different things like that.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
He will not even stream. He will not play with girls. Like, he will only stream with dudes because he's married. He's like, I'm not going to get any allegations. Like, you're not going to catch me on anything. And if I ever were to get famous, I might do the same thing. Like, nah, there's never going to be you will never have to question my motivations, what I'm trying to be up to, anything like that. Like, you're not going to catch me slipping at all. There will be no false allegations. I'll be able to, say, no, I was with this person at this time. And
the Billy Graham rule, like, never be alone with a woman.
Yeah.
That's the Mike Pence rule now. And people ridicule him for that he wouldn't. There was a reporter that wanted to do a ride-along with a congressional candidate or something in one of the last election cycles, and he wouldn't go on the road with her alone in a car. And she made a big deal about it, that he won't let me fulfill my job because I'm a woman. No. And that's what they turned it into. And he was like, no, I don't want to be alone with you.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm more than happy. Bring a producer. We'll do the ride-along.
Yeah.
But he's like, I won't do it alone with you.
I mean, I used to laugh at that kind of thing, but I get it now.
Yeah, to play that as like a gender equality type situation. Yeah. I get it. Like, I understand, like, I could see her genuine viewpoint in that way in many respects, but at the same time, like, I came from a conservative family that, maybe they didn't practice or share these viewpoints. Like, both of my parents have friends of the opposite gender and share friends of the opposite gender, and, can mix it up if they need to. So I don't know that they would advocate for something that extreme, but at the same time, this is not a foreign concept to me. It's just now that we're in the era of Me Too and, more awareness around some of the issues that truly have plagued women for all of humankind, basically.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We act like all this stuff is so outdated, and it's really not.
Nah.
Like, they passed the interracial marriage law 53 years ago.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Within our parents' lifetimes.
Yep.
And you wonder why there's still a tinge of racism in certain pockets of the nation.
Yeah.
It
like just became illegal to lynch people in certain states where it was still legal.
My sister was telling me something. We should probably save this topic. Because what were we were just, do we want to put a bow on Chris just that we'll come back to it? Like, I hope for the best.
Again, their allegations, we're reporting on that. I can't tell you whether he's guilty or not. I certainly hope it's not true, but I'm also not going to defend him, and I'm not going to be like, nah, he totally did it. Because I don't know.
Going back to the kind of the lynching thing and racism, my sister was telling me, first of all, she was hitting me up with some feedback about an episode or two ago, just saying, with all of these police brutality, I think I'd brought up, like, why don't we just tranquilize people, like, with
knock them out.
A dart? And she was like, I'm kind of for that too. Like, why not? Like, this seems like a quick way to, make it not confrontational and violent. And anyway, I guess that's a whole conversation in and of itself. But she did tell me something that I had not seen reported, and I don't know where she's getting these facts, but she said something about suicides by black men recently by public hanging. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
What is this? What are we talking about here?
Oh, I mean, I don't know the reason behind it. I have seen those reports, though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So black men are hanging themselves publicly, like where? In trees?
Yeah, there have been some. But there was also a recent one where it was not a suicide.
She said that some of them should have been investigated and weren't, and that they had things that were abnormal for a suicide. And I was like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying that maybe it was ruled as a suicide, but it could have ended up not being.
That's what she was alluding to, and I was just like,
well, I know for sure there was one that was alluding that, and then they actually found the guys that killed the man, that hanged the man. As far as the other reports,
how has this not been the front page of everything?
There's a lot going on, man. As far
it seems like that would be news story 1A.
You would think.
If there was a hate crime where someone lynched someone in this country present day, how is that not? That's why I'm like, I need to go research this for myself, because I immediately just was like, okay, I've not heard anything about this. So
this happened like the day after it was ruled that was illegal. And they ruled it illegal for like if somebody commits a crime, they cannot be hanged. And so obviously if it's just somebody that went out and tied a rope around someone and killed them, then yes, that was illegal to begin with. But
this is actually, there's like 5 different cases. Like from 2 days ago, another black man was found hung from a tree in Houston, Texas. That's 5 separate lynchings just within these past weeks. It can't be a coincidence. There's no reason to rule out that these were racial terror lynchings. Black Lives Matter. What in the world?
Yeah, man.
Is that the most... Wow. This is, oh my goodness.
Yeah. There's sick people out there.
That's got to be abnormal to hang yourself in public, unless you like... I've been in a public place where somebody committed suicide before, and I think some people do it for attention, and I guess my only hope would be that all of these cases were just suicides, but you hate the pain that those people were going through. But if you're going to do it, more power to you in some ways. But I don't want to think that people are lynching people.
Yeah, and that's a terrible thought, but a viable one.
Race relations are so... Well, is it race relations, or just everyone is pitting everyone against the cops and vice versa? Like,
there are so many different facets. Like, it's not just one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, very, very true.
There are people with all different types of mindsets and reasonings for why they're doing. You could have 2 people that are protesting and they have different reasons for it. You can have 2 people that are rioting and have different reasons for it. So it's just hard to pinpoint some. You can't pinpoint one motive behind a whole group of people.
No.
So there's just a lot of craziness in this world, and
it's going down in Atlanta now.
Yeah,
the latest case, which I don't know what your viewpoint is on some of this, but I don't. So for anybody that doesn't know, I guess that there was a black man that was shot by police, and he did die. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's passed on. Rayshard. What's his last name? Find that. But anyway, as I understand it, and I watched the video with the body cam and stuff, like
Rayshard Brooks.
Thank you. So I question the validity, the complete validity of lopping him in with, like, I was making this point to Brad pre-show, like, the last 3 like pretty visible public narrative killings of black men, I feel like are sliding gradations of, involvement leading up to the event. None of these black men should be dead. But going back to Ahmaud Arbery, it feels like the most clear-cut case of like the most racially intentful situation where they stood over him. They're rumored to have said the N-word. They shot him in cold blood based on an assumption, it sounds like, and it was murder.
Yeah.
Then the next person is George Floyd, and George Floyd was also murdered, and Chauvin should not have done that. I don't know what was going on with that, but at the same time, like, George Floyd wasn't out on a jog either. Like, it's like sliding gradations here. Like, he was high on everything under the sun, using a $20 counterfeit bill, as he was running around town with somebody, essentially. Shouldn't have been murdered, but you'll get my point in a second. This third guy is passed out drunk or high under the influence of something in the Wendy's drive-thru. Like, they call the cops because he's been immobilized. He's just asleep at the wheel. And so the cops come and have a decent interaction with him for 10, 20 minutes. and end up like performing a field sobriety test on him. And I guess that he failed that test, and they go to take him into custody. And this is on dash cam, this is on body cam, everything. They go to take him into custody, and as they're reaching for his arms to basically be around his back, he starts to arrest and like flail his arms. And the next thing you know, they're like literally in fisticuffs. Like it's an all-on fist fight. He connected with one of them. Like he got a pretty good punch in on one of the officers. And they're on the ground. They're wrestling around. He ends up getting one of their stun guns or tasers and fleeing. And then as he's fleeing, he turns around and points the stun gun or whatever it was at the officer. And I guess the officer in the rear shot him 3 times as he was fleeing. And I think 2 of those were in the back, and I don't know where the third one was. But I know 2 were in the back. And I think those officers were charged with like 11 counts of felony murder today.
At least the one officer.
And well, I guess one of them didn't fire at all. But I'm in no way saying that. I'm actually going to reserve judgment on what I think in terms of the charges. And this is too fresh. I haven't done enough research. I don't want to get involved with that. But I don't want the validity of the police brutality movement, and Black Lives Matter, and some of these different organizations
to be shadowed by somebody who is being aggressive.
I'm not saying that. I don't think that. It comes down to the question of, if you think that you have a perp that is fleeing, like, do all cops have the right to pursue what they think could be a violent criminal and shoot them in the back? Like, it's one of those things where it's like you have to shoot if you're in imminent fear of your life. And if that guy only had the stun gun, I don't know. Here's the whole point. It wasn't like he was reading a library book out, in a park midday and getting his master's degree and, was just tackled and killed for his skin color. A business called on, him. He was incapacitated in their place of business. He resisted arrest. He beat the crap out of these guys. Like, they were struggling around. He was landing punches. He was stealing equipment. It's like, I don't advocate for them to shoot in that situation, but at the same time, at a certain point, it's like, what do you expect? I feel like they would have shot me, honestly.
Right.
If I'd done the same actions, I feel like they would have shot a Mexican man, an Indian man, and a lot of white men.
Yeah.
So, I don't want it to be co-opted into that movement with the same level of fervor, because, Joe Rogan was making this point on a podcast, I think with Jocko recently, where, he read a news headline that was like, Hispanic man killed by police. And then when you click into the article, in like the very last paragraph, you finally learn that, the Hispanic man had a gun, was openly brandishing it, threatening people in front of a gas station, trying to shoot people, and was exchanging gunfire with the cops. And Rogan was like, why doesn't the headline say, man killed in, gun battle with police?
Right.
What does his heritage have to do with it at that point? Like, not everybody is good. And there's a crap ton of black people, white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, whoever, any race, color, or creed, Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, that are out there that would do something bad.
Yeah.
And that's what cops are for. So, if you want to strip a department down and start over from the ground floor, be my guest. Like, do what you need to do. We need more training. Well, I want to circle back to that piece in just a second, but the point being that we're not going to defund the police, because who's going to come when you're being beaten or assaulted or your home is being broken into? Whether you're white, black, Asian, whatever, it doesn't matter. They come for citizens, taxpayers, people that need their help. We all have been taught, be compliant with an officer unless they're like trying to molest you, essentially. The one big area where we all know that an abuse of power could happen is for women in those trying situations. Like, I get those stories, and I get the racially profiled stories as well. But, they're just as likely to shoot me if I'm running around stealing guns, beating on them. Like, this is the part that I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I don't know that if I'm a family member of George Floyd, I'm like, let's continue having George be the focal point, along with maybe some of the other ones from the past. We don't need to so easily co-opt these other varying levels of responsibility.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back, just kind of like we said to maybe end our podcast last episode, is that regardless of all the good that's happening with the protests, regardless that there are good cops out there and they need to be, talked about as well, there's still, no matter what, there's going to be good and bad people on both sides. So you can't use every single black man that's going to be shot, and you can't use every single police officer. Like, not everything is about race. And so you know more on this specific story than I do, so I can't really speak.
What, the Atlanta story?
Yeah,
that's all I know. And the media paints it as he was going out to get food for like his young children, and he'll never come home to them. And there's just different things where I get the appeal story, and I don't want him to be dead. I don't want him to be hurt. I wish the situation hadn't happened. I wish that those officers weren't being charged and their careers are over, their lives are over. And I wish the whole thing hadn't happened. And I'm probably, full disclosure, approaching this with my white man lens on, as I normally do as a white man, because that's all I can do. I try to put other lenses on, but the only one that I can fully wear is my white one. And that's something that has to be said at a certain point, that,
sure.
It's like what we said, we prefaced the show a week or two ago. Like, we try to identify as much as possible, but it's like men who claim to be feminists. You can't fundamentally be a feminist as a man. You can try to identify, but you can't fully put yourself into the shoes of a woman.
You can advocate for their rights.
Advocate.
You just cannot walk. You literally cannot walk in their shoes, because you'll never be in those specific situations.
Yeah. So that's why I don't.
I think moving forward, I just feel like there needs to be more and more in place, especially considering this climate, for officers to be trained, and maybe, like you said, maybe come in with the tranquilizers or different things like that, and coming up with situations to where their taser's not taken in the first place, and they don't find themselves in this situation where they feel they have to pull the trigger. And I'm not condoning this guy's actions. I'm not saying he's right and he shouldn't be dead because he was aggressive or anything like that. I'm just saying, moving forward, I would like to see there being like more progression in how these situations are handled.
One viewpoint is that if they had already frisked him and assured themselves that he did not have a real weapon on his person, and he just had the stun gun or whatever was non-lethal that he had taken off their belt or from their hand, I guess, then it goes back to my argument that certain cops shouldn't have guns. A lot of the cops that we come into contact with, like, for most DUIs, you won't need a gun.
Yeah.
In this situation, if they'd already assured themselves that he didn't have a piece on him, he just had non-lethal force, then if he's fleeing and you're not in immediate danger, which when the shots were fired, he was fleeing away, essentially. What that spells to me is lazy cop. You're not even going to run after him. Like, this is an unfair advantage. You're just going to shoot him down. Yeah. And even if you were going to do that, some people advocate, like, why don't you just shoot somebody in the leg or something non-lethal, just to incapacitate them. But then it goes back to the tranquilizer thing. It's like, just use a tranquilizer dart. If it works on a cheetah, it can work on us.
Right.
And the training piece, 100%. So Jocko Willink, Navy SEAL, renowned consultant, self-help person, like, just awesome dude. He was on Rogan yesterday or the day before, and he was talking about the immense amount of training that special ops people and Army people and armed forces people get, where, you might spend 20% of your time just doing drills and exercises, or even more, up to 50% of your time in situational combat, like strategies, versus just time in the field. And he said with cops, we take them, with very little screening, put them through a 3-month academy, give them a gun and put them on the street. And he said they're literally getting between 2 and 4 hours a year of like con ed with actual, strategies on, physical force and de-escalation and all of these different things.
Defusing the situations, right?
So then you just rely on the caste system of information. And in that situation, does it make sense that 3 rookie cops 4 days on the job would defer to Chauvin, who'd been on the job long enough to kill multiple people and get 12 complaints against him in this broken system? Yes.
Yeah. And that goes back to the whole I totally agree with you as far as like your stance on the defund the police, but the idea for the ones that are advocating for that is that like this system is not working. We're just trying to get everybody out of there who currently is and then set up a new system, basically, because the system has failed them.
Yeah. It's difficult because, statistics wouldn't support that per se. Like crime has probably been, we used to be barbarians, we used to be warring tribes, even the Christians and all the most, religious sorts were, crusading and, we were still raping and pillaging up until a couple hundred years ago, and really not even that long. If you were of a minority group or certain things like that, women were maligned and mistreated and basically property.
Yeah.
For up until, let's be honest, probably about 100 years ago. They literally got the right to vote in like 1920, right?
Maybe. Let me look.
It's like surprisingly recent.
Yeah. Keep talking.
I'm just, we need more training. We need more screening.
Nice, man. 1920.
1920. Happy 100-year anniversary of voting, ladies.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Mm-hmm.
That's sweet. But the whole point is when you think about it through those lens,
like there has been progression.
Women couldn't vote 100 years ago. A black man and a white woman couldn't get married 59 years ago. 58 years ago. They could not get married legally in this country. We've come a long way. It's dying out. We're making change. Statistically, 800,000 police officers over 18,000 individual precincts. And, it's going better than it ever has. It's not to say that it's perfect. It needs to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. We have to enter this situation understanding that, I don't know, it's just difficult. Like so many times we need to remind ourselves that we want it all to be fair, and we all want an equal starting point. We want income equality. Yeah. We want all of these social justices, and I want them right alongside you. But we have to understand that we're never all going to start from the same point, intellectually, financially, lineage wise, like how much familial support, how do you control whether you're born into a rich family with both parents present or to a single crack mom in the hood? Mm-hmm. You don't,
Right. And so I think my argument would be is trying to at least set up the system to where everyone has the opportunity to succeed. So for instance, in the public school system, if you go outside of your district, like that's illegal. Like there was a woman arrested because she wanted to send her child to a better school. And so she used like somebody down the street, like their neighbor or something that could go to that school. And she was arrested for trying to give her child a better opportunity. And so I totally agree that like, yeah, there are going to be people born that are smarter, and if your family has saved their money and they're wealthy and all of that, then yes, that family is going to be better off. But as far as the system, like as far as the education you're receiving, as far as the medical attendance and different things like that, like basic human needs and rights, I feel like those things can be set up to be better.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I mean, I want a system that works for everyone. I would just challenge you to point out the explicit way that the system is currently set up that is totally racist in its intent.
Sure.
Like that's kind of my question. That's my challenge because,
well, I mean, again, you can't pinpoint that because not everybody at every single school is racist, but that is still going on. And like, it's not just like a one Band-Aid over this one big wound and everything is good. Like there's a lot of issues and that's just part of life, and not everything is going to be fixed now or right away. Maybe not in our lifetime, but that doesn't mean that we don't try.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Hey man, you want to take a quick break? I want to check on something with the audio real quick. You want to come right back?
Yep.
Okay.
And we're back.
Sorry about that, folks. It looked like we were offline and I didn't want all this precious audio to not be harvested.
Exactly. So, yeah.
I agree with your intent, and I don't mean to come across heavy-handed in this episode on the side of either side. You know, I'm on the side of innocent people not being murdered. I also want to just reiterate, and I don't want to necessarily even apply this to the case in Atlanta, but at some point we need a reminder that we all need to be, and this is a point that Jocko made that I so agreed with. He was like, we need a public safety course on how to get arrested. We need a public service announcement that's taught in school. Mm-hmm. It's taught on TV, in infomercials. There's pamphlets on it. There's gut.gov / how to get arrested. And it is, you know, if you are asked to comply with a police officer, whether you are white, black, Asian, anything, mm-hmm. This is how it goes. Like here, because we need to get people into the habit of having their quarrels and debates in the courtroom where things are peaceful and you're in a suit, not in the parking lot where somebody's wonked out, somebody's, you know, aggressive and thinks they're in danger and people are getting shot and killed and all this stuff. So, you know, if you're innocent, comply, go to jail, fight your battle in court. And I know that's easier said than done for certain people. I get that. However, you know, he said, we need to have this front and center for everyone that here's the process. Here's what's happening right now. It's going to be okay. It's not necessarily the end of the world. However, the people that run the hardest are typically the ones that are the ones most wanted. So, you know, I guess my whole point is just, if you're getting arrested, like, get arrested. Like, I'm not over here thumbing my nose at cops, resisting arrest and getting away with it as a white man. I just want to assure everyone that. You can have the nicest part and comb over and car ever. If you're not compliant with an officer, he's going to haul off, hit you, put you in cuffs, and book you. You know?
Sure.
So, anywho, that's my 2 cents. What do I know?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well said.
And so many people are fighting this fight in the most inconsequential ways in some ways. Like, I saw this white Mormon tech CEO, literally out of BYU this week, tweet out that, so get this, in the coding world, and if you're a coder, if you're a developer and you're listening to this, I'm going to get close, but I'm not going to say all these words right, and you're going to laugh, so just, I'll preface it. You know, do you, nerd? I'm going to do...
Please, well, actually him, all right?
Yeah. TLDR. So I'm going to get close in some of this dev speak, but, you know, within, you know, open source coding and, you know, when you're merging a branch of code, there's different things like a dev server, a production server, a QA server. You know, you have different environments. Like sometimes I go to dev.appreciate.org to do different things in test mode before I go to appreciate.org. Like these are just normal things. And one of the code bases that you merge to is the master. Mm-hmm. You know, you have the master code base. And they are now doing away with the master code base because it has the word master in it. And they're replacing it with like main or something like that.
Okay.
And so he tweeted out this do-good to his Twitter following full of millionaires and billionaires, investors, and people of color and all sorts of different people that he has helped in many ways. Like, I think he's got a BA company. Like he's going for the moon.
Yeah.
He's an awesome entrepreneur. And I just read this and I was like, is he referring to like the racist connotation with master? And literally, so I look in the comments and everybody was just like, you did it. You solved racism for the masses. Everybody call everybody. We're done. Everybody can stop marching. Master code base is no longer a thing. Yeah. And I just was like, are you serious? Like, is that what's keeping people down now? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Is Tiger Woods not going to come back and defend his green jacket at the Masters next year or this year?
No.
Like, he hasn't had any issue with it. They've paid him millions of dollars, and are you no longer a master at something?
Yeah,
master karate champion or jujitsu.
Well, I'm taking my master's classes. You know.
I mean, goodness, you racist bigot pig.
Yeah, that'll be the only time I'm ever called any of those things.
I just are we going too far with some of this? Like, we're taking out, classic films, books.
That's in my show notes. Gone with the Wind is coming back.
Really?
But with a disclaimer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just like Disney did, they're going to give contextual, a contextual summary of what was going on back then. But yeah, Gone with the Wind will be put back on HBO.
So question, does that mean that film studios stand by the moral nature of everything that they depict in a film? Because if somebody says the wrong word, let's say that a white character from a super old film uses the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we don't stand behind this. This isn't moral. But then they'll portray somebody cheating on their wife with 20 different women in a film and screwing over their business partner and doing drugs the entire time. Do they morally stand by that? Or and I don't want there to be the N-word. Like, Quentin Tarantino puts the N-word in every film. Django Unchained had 118 N-words, sometimes by white people. Leo said it.
Yeah.
And nobody's upset by that. So why is Gone with the Wind getting pulled? Like, if it's a time-based depiction where it's clear to the viewer, there is morally good and evil forces at play here. Like, what was special about Gone with the Wind when you think that Leo dropped the N-word several years ago in a flick?
Well, I think, if you've seen Django Unchained, I guess maybe the content and how it's like the killing of white supremacists.
Because he said it, but then he murders every white person in the film, it's okay?
I'm not saying it's okay.
I'm asking because HBO is no, fly-by-night brand.
Sure.
There's a certain level of viewer trust, I think, that they've garnered with us because they've always been willing to tackle the big things and break television rules. They were the first of their time with The Sopranos, and The Wire was, nobody had ever gone at something from different angles.
Arguably one of the greatest.
Most
TV
people
show.
say the greatest TV show of all time.
Right.
I've never watched it cover to cover.
Oh, it's amazing.
But I guess that's my question. And I'm not meaning to be obtuse or racist, or...
I mean, maybe it matters that it was made during a time where racism was more prevalent.
So don't read any books from before 1990.
Dude, I'm just coming up with explanation. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm not even saying that I stand behind it.
Yeah, well. Take the other role here. I don't...
Well, I don't have an answer. All I know is
No, I know. I'm directing my feedback towards mass public, towards you. I'm just. Is this do I sound crazy, or are these things crazy?
No, I'm not mad at a little contextual background. I don't know. These are sensitive times. So if that's what it calls for, and if that's what's going to make people happy, I don't care that there's a summary before this stupid movie that I'm not going to watch anyway. I don't care if it appeases a group of people and makes them feel better about it and they're more comfortable. That does not bother me one bit. Do I agree with you that it's a little hypocritical whenever all the other stuff is going on in these films and there's not a summary about it saying that, hey, we don't agree with this either? Sure, I agree with you. But
I think that's what bugs me, is the hypocrisy and how quickly we forget, Yeah.
But I mean, right now in this time period, it calls for that, and it doesn't really affect my life one way or the other, so I don't care.
Gotcha. What's going on in the world of music and celebrity?
J. Cole got some hate this morning.
Why?
He dropped it. Okay, here we go.
I saw he was trending with Kendrick. It's Kendrick's birthday.
Is it?
I think so.
I saw him trending, but... okay, so there's this female rapper, No Name, who...
Oh, I didn't know that was a rapper.
Oh yeah, No Name is a rap. She's this female rapper. She's awesome. She is actually my favorite female rapper. if you've listened to like Chance the Rapper, I believe she was featured on Acid Rap. I know she was featured on Surf, his project Surf. Then you've heard her. Anyway, she's been like posting all Black Lives Matter movement, social justice, a lot of different posts. She even has like a book club where people can read up on this kind of thing and learn more. And she was tweeting out like how a lot of rappers who, talk a lot in their music, haven't been, actually involved in any of this movement, and they haven't been speaking up. And she was basically like calling them out, but she never said any specific rapper. Well, J. Cole took that to heart, and he released a song last night or this morning. I heard it this morning, but I think it dropped last night. There was basically like a letter to her saying, hey, like, you should take it easy. Like, instead of condemning, you should teach us. And he's getting a lot of backlash he basically said, like, I went to college, but I'm just a rapper. Like, I don't know these things. And he's receiving a lot of backlash because people are like, well, No Name didn't go to college, and she still has found the time to read up on this, and she knows all about this, and it's not her job to educate you. So what are you doing? And especially because of the content and a lot of J. Cole's songs where, he's saying like how the black man is oppressed, and there's even one where he's hating on all the rappers that have the word Lil in their name. And he's like telling all the Lil rappers to pick a book up and like get educated, but then he doesn't do it himself. And so he's received a lot of backlash for that. Yeah. So that's the story.
I mean,
can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Well, that's one narrative. You could also argue that J. Cole is a more privileged rapper that has probably been more ingrained with white culture, and he's, I don't know. I think some darker rappers have had problems with like the Drakes of the world, and I can't speak to all of
but the fact that he spoke out whenever his name was not even mentioned, I think is very telling.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying that maybe he's blended into the white community more than he wants to let on, and it's less to do with education and more to do with, lack of enthusiasm, because this doesn't affect me as much. But I don't know. That's funny. I was hoping that by asking you about music and celebrity, we'd get off race, and then it's still about race.
Oh yeah. Well,
it's like, is there any topic that doesn't affect race?
Let's see. What else is there? Dude, a lot of music has either been about like, a lot of artists are coming out with like songs that have to deal with like protests and standing up, and then the other one's like about being apart because they're still away from people in COVID.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Let's go to some timeless stuff like being in the club, people.
Yeah. There's this little
what happened to Percocet?
Leon Bridges came out with some new music. I'm super hype about that. Love Leon Bridges, Texas native. There's this group called Surfaces. They have a really popular song called Sunday Best right now.
Surfaces.
But their music is really catchy, good for the summer. Loving it.
Good for the summer.
Yeah. Yeah, what else you want, man?
Just whatever you'd like to talk about in general.
Cowboys, a lot of them tested positive for COVID.
Shout
out to Zeke.
Well, so was he disputing that he had tested positive initially? Like, he was saying something that gotten leaked or whatever?
I didn't see that.
Okay. I saw that Dez was like, hey, I didn't test positive for COVID, and that's like, I'm like, that's because you're not on the team. Yeah. You weren't around other players.
Yeah. Let's see. Several Dallas Cowboys, including Zeke Elliott, test positive for COVID.
Remember when they were at the house party and everybody was mad at them?
Ezekiel Elliott tweeted HIPAA ? Question mark. Like the HIPAA laws.
Yeah. Seriously. That's probably a great point.
Yeah.
Man. No, you don't have any of your own business to mind when you're a public figure or athlete, or everything is public.
Yeah, Drake has a line that says, waking up to public statements about my private life.
I like that.
Yeah.
Why does he go so hard in the paint?
Amazing. He's supposed to drop an album this summer. I'm waiting.
I'm like 1 degree away of fandom from having that Lil Dicky poster of Drake in my bedroom. Like,
yes.
Because he has just this incredible library. Like he's got so many hits. You think like, oh, Drake is like top rapper. Like I like Drake stuff, but it's like, no, you love Drake. Like every single banger he's made, like, come on.
Man. And he's just...
And for 10 years now.
Exactly.
Like those first one.
So Far Gone came out like in 2009.
Marvin's Room.
Oh, that's his first like that was second studio album. Take Care.
Okay.
Take Care came out in about 2012-ish. It came out whenever I was going to Southern.
They say the man. Yeah, it's Marvin's Room, right?
No. They say
his first hit.
That's not his first hit.
Okay. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
The point is that was like college time.
Are you talking like Houston, Atlanta, Vegas? Like that?
Yeah.
I don't think it's... I think that was from like one of Birdman's albums, that song that you're thinking.
Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. Yeah. I remember that one.
I don't think Houston, Atlanta, Vegas was one of his songs, but...
okay, now I'm confused
anyway.
On his discography.
It is what it is. But yeah, he's been around for a long time. Shout out Drake, even though he doesn't really need any praise from us.
Well, he's listening.
Yeah.
He's up in Toronto.
Yeah. Champagne Poppy.
Champagne Poppy. Man, he's got the life.
Yeah.
That house in that video is insane.
Yeah, that'll be us after this episode blows up.
Boy, you know it. People be like, cancel these white men.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny. Jinx. What else is going on? I feel so depleted after all these race conversations. I'm like, there's a billion other things going on. It's just like, these are the things that drive wedge issues between people and aren't healthy for us. There's an election going on, which is funny to think about. It's crazy.
Nope, let's pass. We'll save that for another episode. I left the gym early today because I was getting hit on.
No way. Guy or girl?
Well, girl. Come on, dude.
Hey, man. I've been fooled before. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't get fooled again.
Forget my story. What do you mean you've been fooled?
How many stories do you want? Like, it was an issue for... Gaiman loved Carson back in the day.
What's the part in which you were fooled, though?
Well, okay, so I have a great example. One time in London, I was
across the pond.
I was in London, literally minding the gap. And my own business.
And everyone turned off they hit pause.
Nah, man. Check out Spotify analytics. They listen to the whole thing.
That's right.
The average is like the length of the episode.
All right, so you were at the London.
So, no, you can meet me at the London.
Yeah, there you go.
I was in London at Hyde Park taking in a White Keys concert with my blokes. Okay. And we met some other blokes. They said, hey, you want to go to this after hours club that, you know, you have to be a member to get in, but we can get you guys in. It's like, it's not really a business. Nobody knows about this. Mm-hmm. It's like an after hours speakeasy. And we're like, yeah, take us. So they take us. I'm with John, Shelly, Grizz, Sierra. Maybe that was it at this point. No, Shelly was there. Isn't that?
I think you said Shelly.
John, Shelly, Grizz, Sierra. Maybe Nicole at this point. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, if you're listening and you were there and he didn't mention you, we're sorry. We're moving on.
Yeah. Cheerio. So we go
with that on your crumpet.
Yeah. Okay. So we go with these fine gentlemen to this after hours, and we're all like in this tiny little bar, and there's a language barrier with some people from another country that are trying to get to know us. And there's this one guy that's talking to me. And like we're talking closer because the music is so loud, and I'm thinking that he wants to, like, you know, talk about soccer. I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on. There was a language barrier going on, and finally he just looks at me and he's trying to get a point across, and I'm like not following. And John loves this story because it comes to a crescendo. He looks at me in the middle of this crowded club. He goes, no. He goes, you are a gay. And I was like, what? And he goes, you are a gay. And I was like, I am not gay. And he goes, no, you are a gay. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not gay. And that's when he starts to touch me. And I literally ran out of this club.
Wow.
I'd like to say this is an isolated incident, but I was preyed upon. I was a beautiful boy,
oh my goodness.
Brad. And so anyway, I'm out front of this club crying, just violated. Like, it It was probably the second worst experience I've ever had.
It's those colorful shirts you wear.
The worst experience. I did almost get. I've only felt like a woman in peril. Like I've only been able to identify with that feeling to a certain degree once in Vegas. And that was a weird situation. I feel like I've told you that story.
Yeah.
This was it's a funny story after the fact, but at the time it was like, okay, why does this keep happening? Do people think I'm gay? Am I gay?
Yeah.
No. It's never really been a question for me, but it has been for others, which isn't some manicured men can be called gay. But anyway, this guy thought I was gay and he was trying to get him some. And so I was devastated. I'm out in front of this club. I didn't go back in. So Shelly came out to check on me and I was like, it happened again. I got to stay out here. But that was just the funniest part because years later, sometimes John would look at me and just be like, you are a gay.
That's great. So that's another thing that we'll put on a t-shirt on our website.
So I'm in total shock and awe and respect that.
Shock and awe?
No.
Shock.
Well, just because.
Please, sir.
What?
I just
First
don't
of all,
share.
Was she wearing a mask? The fact that a woman would get close enough to hit on you.
At the pool.
Okay, so you're at the pool. This is getting hot. So you're at the pool.
No, it's not hot.
How old is she?
She's 25, and I know that because she's Hispanic. Well, let me tell you the story.
Yeah, all Hispanics are 25.
Right. And okay, so it was leg day. I'm doing the legs, and then I changed to go swim because I've been swimming for like the past 5 days.
Piernas.
No, what?
Legs are piernas.
Okay, yeah, no. Shh.
Okay.
I'm not the greatest storyteller, so don't interrupt me when I'm on a roll.
I'm trying to help you.
That's fair. Okay, help me. So I actually go out to my car for a little while because there's only 3 lanes at this LA Fitness, and the middle one is closed because of social distancing. And so I'm waiting for everybody to finish swimming so I can get in, and then I finally see somebody come out. And so I go into the gym. She's on the far left, so I get on the far right. And I jump in, I start swimming, and then catching my breath. And she's like, "Can you swim?" And I said, "Mm-hmm."
She just seen you do your 10-second plunge to get your breath done.
No, I hadn't even done any of that today. But
she's like, "Are you okay?"
She's like, "No," but she's like, "I can't swim." Yeah, crazy, right? I'm like, "Okay, well," she's like, "Yeah, like, what do you do?" I'm like, "I don't know. I've never taught anybody to swim before." I'm like, "Just kick your feet and move your arms. I don't. Why are you here?"
She was in the pool?
Yes, she was in the lane.
How weird. Was it the shallow one?
Yeah, I mean, it only goes up to like 4.5 feet.
So why does she need to learn how to swim?
I don't know, but
okay, keep going.
It's so she can swim and do laps.
This is mind-blowing.
Yeah, you're telling me. So I'm like trying to give instructions on how to swim, but then I'm just like, yeah, sorry, I can't really help you. I put on my goggles and I'm going. And anyway, another Hispanic lady comes in, and not lady, she's she's around my age, and she gets in the middle one, even though that's supposed to be closed off, and she barely speaks any English. And so the first girl, Marissa, is asking me if I know what the rules are, and I'm just like, I think that lane's closed, but I've seen other people swimming in it. I don't care. She's like, well, I don't have COVID. I'm like, I don't either. And so we tell the lady, like, just swim or whatever. And then they get to talking in Spanish, and like I'm swimming back and forth, and I stop to catch a break, and then she calls me over to like join the conversation. She's like, "Oh, I'm talkative. I talk to everybody. Blah blah blah. Do you speak Spanish?" And I'm like, very little. And they continue speaking in Spanish, and I'm hearing things like "gringo," "muy guapo," all these different things. And then I hear them say like, "16, 15," and they're telling each other how old they are, and then they ask me like, "How old am I?" And blah blah blah. And then I'm like, I don't know. Somehow I got on the topic of a teacher, and then I like immediately brought up Courtney, and I was like, "Yeah, I wasn't really, but I was like, yeah, I'm about to go see my novia," and I didn't say novia.
I love how you're Spanglishing it up.
Yeah, I'm like, and they're like, "Ah, you do speak," and I'm like, "Yeah." So, they like, I don't know. The one girl that was there first like kept trying to talk to me, and then I'm like, I'm just here to like swim and like try to hold my breath for at least 12 seconds today. And so then there was like more people waiting for the pool, and so I was just like, I'm out of here. Like I don't want to because they keep trying to engage me every time I come back down the pool, and they keep talking to me, and I'm just like, all right, I gotta go. And they're like, oh, and before I left, they're like, oh, is your girlfriend white? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, you don't like the Hispanic girls, huh? And I'm like, I don't discriminate. It just so happens that my girlfriend is white, and I don't know. They were just like giving me a hard time about it, but like in a flirty way. And I was just like, all right, this is cool. I'm out.
You're like, I have a white girlfriend. What I don't have is a Hispanic girlfriend. That position is open.
Absolutely not. Only one for me. Shout out to Courtney. That's the love of my life.
You're like, I can barely hold my breath underwater. I can't juggle multiple women, right, multiple races, and swim laps at the same time.
Yeah.
Man, I've heard of like, looking lost and, needing help with something.
Dude,
but,
just
not
to
being
be
able
like
to
in a
swim.
pool. Yeah, it was
like,
crazy.
This is a new level.
And the other, I didn't even mention the one that could barely speak English. She couldn't swim either. Like, what are the odds that two people get in there that can't swim?
What LA Fitness are you going to?
The one off of Kelly Elliott, baby.
Was it? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Well, no wonder you're like riding so high off of your 2 days of working
come on,
out.
we're
You're
not gonna say that.
Well, yeah, I'm just strutting around the gym, picking up women of all races, colors, and religion. Like,
no, that is not why.
You're like, a nun asked me out the other day. Wow, look at you. See, what did I tell you? You look good.
Thanks, man.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What is it about Hispanic women that makes you feel more loved on than any other? Like more, like there's a way that Hispanic women are just so warm with, like you hear muy guapo, and they're just so like,
no,
I don't know.
Maybe it's just the language.
It's like a different touch.
It's a better sounding language.
It's a beautiful like romance language.
Yeah.
That and like what is it, Portuguese and some of those. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love hearing that, especially from a beautiful. Was she a beautiful woman?
She's pretty.
Did you say 16? Because that would be like 16, right? 25 would be.
No, 20 is
20, right?
No, 20 is 30. 10 is
30 is 30.
I don't know. They said that because then the one that spoke English, she didn't know that I could understand her, and she said 25. 26,
I just want to make sure that you're not getting me too due to a language barrier.
Well, I got out with her, and I didn't engage with. I didn't ask for anything. So,
if any allegations came, you'd be like, "Well, you can't swim."
I'm like, I brought up my No. Yeah, it was an interesting part of my day, but I think my girlfriend's voice is the most beautiful voice in the world. So,
yeah, good cover there, buddy.
Shout out Courtney Anderson. That's the love of my life.
Right, there you go. It's not bigoted. It's love.
Not bigoted at all.
That's not bigoted if you choose someone of your own race. Like, some people are going to very far extremes with some of that.
It just so happened this white girl is awesome, so I locked her down.
Congrats, buddy.
Yep.
What's coming up in the Mr. B-Rad Summer Concert Series?
Oh, dude, I got to tell you this. Oh, well, I hit a speed bump. I hit a road bump. So I mentioned last week I didn't know if we would have one, and then I had texted you. I was like, hey, I have a guy. So it really is going to be like the weekly catch up June concert series. But then so this artist's name is Colton Venner. I actually have heard him play several times at the same place where I heard my ex-roommate and the guy that you guys heard last week.
Garrett Owen.
Yes, Garrett Owen. And this I heard him play at this place called Opening Bell. And I had just been following him on like social media and different things like that. And he came out with this song last year that I just absolutely fell in love with. It's called Honey Slow. And the gist of it is like just having to like break apart at the end of this at the end of the day, after the end of the weekend, whenever you have to go back to your work weekend, you're in a long distance relationship, and like how hard that is, and like how you don't want to let each other go, and different things like that. And so I actually heard that song back whenever Courtney was living in Temple, so it really resonated with me. And I'm actually this is more of a country song, and I like country tunes, as Colton Venner would call them. Anyway, he hits me back and he says, hey, like, I definitely would love to. Great. So I texted you. I was like, we have this guy locked in. The next day, he texts me and says, hey, actually, I made this licensing deal like 2 months ago, and I have to check with them and make sure that everything's okay. And so I was like, okay, well, this actually might fall through. And then he also asked us, he's like, and also, like, what do you guys talk about on your podcast? Like, am I going to regret getting on? Because we don't really know each other. I think I've met him and I've talked with him in passing maybe once, but we don't really know each other. I'm just kind of a fan. So I said, we talk about like hot button topics, but I think I don't think we say anything that will actually get us canceled, even though we joke about it. I think we handle a lot of our topics with care and everything like that. So I was just letting him know. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'll get back to you. So he ended up getting back to me. He's like, yeah, so you actually have to talk with the person that I licensed my music through in order to get permission. And so he gives me the email, and he gives me the email of another guy called Colton. And I start messaging back and forth with him. He's like, okay, so you need to create an account on this website called audio.com. That's AUDIIO.com. And then you can license that particular song. You can do a one-time thing and license the song, and you just select it's for your podcast. Or you can get like a year or a lifetime. Well, I just chose to purchase the license for the song. Well, I tried to, but for some reason my card wasn't going through. So then I messaged back that Colton, and he's like, oh, well, I'll get the people from the website, I'll CC them, and they'll try to handle the problem. Well, they got back to me very quickly, and they were like, oh, we really want this to work out. So they sent me an invoice. I paid for the song to be on our show, and it has all worked out. And both Colton's and the people from audio.com are going to be listening to this episode, and we will be featuring Colton Venner's song. And so he actually has recorded a message. It's actually really funny because he knows nothing about the show. And this is the first time like somebody doesn't even know us. And so I think his message is actually pretty funny. And I also have the license. I've procured the song for our concert.
How official.
Yeah.
Wow,
Man.
I didn't know any of this.
I know.
You really
saved it.
Was this like a lot of money, or
no? Wait.
We'll talk offline.
Yeah.
So, remind me what the connection is.
So I had heard him play
at the same place that Garrett had played at.
And I just became a fan of him.
Bookmarked him.
Yeah, and so if you're not a fan of country music, that's on you. Whatever. I think Colton is extremely talented. He's from Texas, and he's currently living in Nashville.
How crazy! So you thought enough of this guy to follow his career, listen to his music, and now you're licensing his music for explicit playing on this show?
Yeah. And
as a result, his team and audio.com are listening?
Yeah, they said they're going to be listening to this episode. So
I feel like you set off all these like triggers for like, oh, there's a media property out there that's featuring the music. Like, yeah. That's wild that we're perceived as a media entity that features. I mean, both of the artists that we featured up until this point, or all three, are professionals.
Right.
But this is crazy. I'm anxious. I've never heard any of this guy's music.
Yeah. So this is like kind of a slower song. It's not super upbeat, whatever. But if you've ever been in a long distance relationship or have someone that you love that you have to say goodbye to, it's a wonderful song. I love the lyrics. He has a excellent voice, and you guys should definitely follow him. We're going to put his information in our show notes. Colton Venner. That's
Colton Venner.
Yeah, COLTONVENNER.
Well, Colton, we appreciate the shout out and you being featured on the show, and just the fact that B-Rad, with all of his connections, like, it's almost more meaningful that you sought this out in this way than even a personal connection that wanted to be featured or anything like that. So this has got to be a huge plug for Colton's country music. I'm anxious to hear
Absolutely.
it. You got any shout outs before we get out of here?
I don't know, man. This week, shout out.
All right, let's skip them. Let's go to Colton.
All right. So without further ado, Colton Venner is going to lead us out, and we will catch you up next week.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, this is Colton Venner. Thanks, Brad and Carson, for reaching out about my tune. And thank you, listener, for checking out my tune today. And I appreciate this little segment that maybe is a surprise to you, or maybe it's not. But I appreciate you taking the time to check out my song. I would really appreciate a follow on Spotify if you like the song. I've got some new music coming out later on this summer, and the more people that are following, the more likely Spotify is to pay attention to what I'm doing. And it's one click of a button for you. Could make my dreams come true. Thanks.
I don't want to blame you that I'm sad and that I'm lonesome, but it only seems to happen when you're gone. I'm fine on the weekends, but when I'm driving home from Austin, I know that feeling's coming all week long. We both know something's gotta change, but for now, to help us ease that pain, we play that same song every Sunday night, holding off the seconds before we say goodbye. You whisper softly that you wish that I could stay, and I can't seem to find the words to say. So we just slow dance, honey in the driveway, slow dance, honey in the driveway, slow dance, honey slow. When we get done swaying, how our hands they seem to linger, we can't bear to let each other go. I'll say I love you, and one day I'll stop leaving, but the best thing I can do to let you know, we play that same song every Sunday night, holding off the seconds before we say goodbye. You whisper softly that you wish that I could stay, and I can't seem to find the words to say. So we just slow dance, honey in the driveway, slow dance, honey in the driveway, slow dance, honey slow. When I hear that chorus, it tells me that you're near, and when the music's fading, it's your breathing that I hear. And baby, just for a moment, everything feels like it's fine. That's why I have to make you mine. But until I make you mine, we play that same song every Sunday night, holding off the seconds before we say goodbye. You whisper softly that you wish that I could stay, but I can't seem to find the words to say. So we just slow dance, honey in the driveway, slow dance, honey in the driveway, slow dance, honey slow.